All right, how's everybody doing here? I'm Joe McNatt. I'm from Fargo, North Dakota, Sundog Interactive. Sundog's been around for about 20 years. We handle manufacturing, marketing for companies like Bobcat, Ecolab, Titan International. I've been doing development for a little over 10 years, Salesforce for a little over 3. All right, let's get started here. So in this presentation, I'm going to hit a little intro on communities and Chatter. I'm going to do some considerations before building out Chatter, give you a few setup tips, and then we'll do a little deep dive into the Chatter REST API, and then I'll shoot out some resources for you. Okay, intro to community and Chatter. So I'm just going to give you a little overview of what things are in case you're not familiar with them. The communities are branded spaces for employees, customers, and partners to connect. We all live in communities. Is that the same thing as a Salesforce community? Not really. When I think of communities, I think of collaboration, communication, and access to the information you need to do your business. Why do communities matter? You want to drive sales, increase partner productivity, improve customer experience, accelerate sales, enhance your service, giving your customers one place to find answers, even create a custom CMS in a custom community in Salesforce like we've done at Sundog Interactive. What is Chatter? Chatter is the #1 enterprise social network. It can drive productivity through connecting, engaging, motivating your employees. It can accelerate innovation, provide a forum for anyone to share insights, provide new ideas, connect with your experts. You can even access everything from your mobile device. So a few benefits of the Chatter REST API. No API limits when used within Salesforce. So if you're in a Visualforce page, Apex, or Visualforce component or Lightning component, you won't be hitting any limits when you're calling the Chatter REST API or any of the Salesforce APIs for that matter. Provides the ability to pick and choose what parts of Chatter can be implemented, giving you the flexibility for different pages. So for instance, you might have a Chatter group for your sales employees and you just want the feed to come through for certain things. You can pick and choose what parts. You don't even have to have it so they can post, just so they're read-only. You don't need the files or any of that. With using the REST API, you just pick and choose. And it's not tied to Visualforce or the components or Lightning. If you need to implement it in a custom website or something like that, or Sitecore or whatever, the only thing you got to be aware of there is the API limits. So some considerations before building out Chatter. You want to figure out what your corporate strategy is. Got objectives. You want to share content, news, updates. What are your goals? Are you looking to share knowledge? What's your desired outcome? You're looking to drive dealer and customer engagement or maybe enhance your service. All these aspects should be considered when developing your corporate communication strategy. What types of messaging do you plan to incorporate? You could do educational content, feedback, questions, general discussions. When you know what type of messaging you want to use for Chatter, it will help you separate different groups so you can keep things organized. You're not going to be looking through multiple or hundreds of different Chatter posts to find the one topic you're looking for. You can segregate them into different groups, and it keeps things cleaner, easy to research and follow. Okay, community and Chatter setup tips. Different audiences equal different permissions. You need to figure out what types of users you have. You want to do chatter moderators, your external users, internal users. The different permissions I would recommend using different permission set for each one. That gives you the ability to, like for a chatter moderator, they can manage unlisted groups, moderate chatter, create, delete topics. For instance, like when they're moderating chatter, they'll be able, if something gets flagged, as inappropriate or something like that, they could delete it, pull it off. Some of the chatter features, knowing what features are required and knowing their priorities so you can develop in iterations. The sooner your clients start seeing something come to life and visually, they'll be a lot happier. So using the Chatter REST API, you can implement parts at a time. For instance, I have the screenshot here of the standard chatter. So you have the messages, which are allowed for sending private messages to the users that you can see or have access to. You have your chatter feed there, what I follow, to me, bookmarked, muted, all company. For instance, to me is if someone @messaged you, you can grab that real quick, or bookmarked, you want to monitor something, you just keep it bookmarked, it's easy to get to, or muted. You have something that feed that you don't think is important right now, but you want to look at later, you just bookmark or mute it, and then you just able to come back, and if you want to see it again, you just unmute it. You have your people that you can see. Each section has like a recently viewed. So you have recently viewed people, recently viewed groups. The only thing that's not going to show in your groups, it would be unlisted groups. So in the group section, you're going to have recently viewed, my groups, active groups, and archived groups. Files, you're going to have owned by me, shared with me, and all files. Files are one that if I'm not going to put something in, one of the features would probably be files, because Salesforce isn't a storage. Because people might get happy and start uploading all kinds of files and taking up space. But you also have the ability to only allow them to select files from within Salesforce instead of uploading them. So you could go that route. And then topics, anything that's trending in chatter, hashtagged, or that a chatter moderator created. For rolling out here, let's remember, communities cannot be turned off once they are enabled. So do not activate that community unless you're fully ready, because you can develop your community in preview mode, but once you activate it, you cannot set it back to preview mode. And also when you activate it, there's a checkbox to send emails, and once you click activate the community, it will send emails to every one of your users unless you uncheck that. So you can activate it without them knowing. And then also the domain, make sure you have a domain picked out, and probably have a few of them, because it took me about 5 tries when I was creating this demo for one that was actually available. All right, let's jump into a demo here. So creating a custom community, you could have styled it up. I'm not a designer, so I just left it as is. You could have branded this to your own. So I created, and some of my other colleagues thought this was ugly, but oh, it's not presenting up there. Oh, sorry. There we go. So this is just the standard. You can put any objects you want on here, because this is all custom. So if you don't want to have them allow them access something, you just don't add it in. But as you can see, creating a custom community, you can brand it however you want. fully responsive. So if you don't want to spend the money to create a mobile app, you can just make sure, you always want to make sure it's responsive no matter what. So I'll just jump in here, or over here if I can find my mouse. Just a little snippet of my code for this. So I'm just using a standard Visualforce page with the controller. And then I have a component, Visualforce component, just to use my includes to reuse them for my styles and my scripts, my title. Then we just go through. I'm utilizing Bootstrap for my styling, and then handlebars for my templating. As you can see there. So just minimize that for a second. And then, so only one I actually have active, because I'm focusing on Chatter, is the Chatter REST API. So we're just hitting up Chatter. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to create, I wanted to create something completely different from what you have in the normal Chatter. So I decided I wanted to create a bunch of separate groups, but I only want to see the ones that I'm a member of or an owner of on my page. So, and as you can see, I can't even post on this because I didn't implement that. I just implemented it as read only. And again, completely responsive. So if we jump over to the code, we have another Visualforce page. And I'm utilizing the Force TK framework, which was done by Pat Patterson. I believe he's the meta daddy on Twitter. And then I have just my JavaScript include file. So when you're using the Force TK, you're going to need your session ID. And then you set up your parameters for your connection. You need your user ID, community ID. For the community ID, and then my base URL, just utilizing a controller to grab those. So if you're outside of Salesforce, you have to grab them a different way. So then we'll scroll down here. As you can see, more Bootstrap laid out. And then we have our handlebars templates. So you can see here we have the feed template, and then we have a comments template. So I'll show you a little more here in the code. This give you a little snippet look of the ForceTK JavaScript file. So we're using the set session token at the beginning there. So a few different parameters, session ID, API version if you wanted to pass that in. Right now I was just using 36. Your instance URL and the community URL. So then if we jump over to my JavaScript. So I'm also, in my JavaScript file here, I'm using the immediately invoked function expression. I find it keeps things cleaner, easier to read. You can also limit what's being passed into it. So if you're just using, you didn't want to have any conflicts with the other frameworks, you could just pass those in. Right now I'm not passing anything in, so it's just open. And then declare any global methods that you want. So if we scroll down here to instantiating our ForceTK client, setting the session token, and then I just I had created a variable up above to hold my URLs, my API URLs. And if we come down, I'll call, just using a couple callback methods. Very simple. So we'll call, and for when you're utilizing the ForceTK frameworks, it's simple as just client.ajax, passing in your URL, and then the framework takes care of setting the header and everything else. So you make your call, do what you want with it. So, and as I stated before, you have I only wanted to see the standard, where I'm the standard member and the owner of a group. So I put those groups into a variable, then I pass them back, and then I'm just calling another method here to get the feed for each. The same thing here, just client.ajax, grab the feed. I just self-containing here. I'm just calling it self until it meets the criteria to get all my feeds. And then with handlebars, registering this comment. So if we jump back over to the page, I'll kind of show you what that means. If you've never dealt with handlebars either, I'll just give you a little. So this one here, yeah, okay, it's showing up there. Is just the regular my chatter feed, but then when if you register a partial, you're getting, if there's any comments, they're just concatenating those right onto there. It's kind of a little, if you've never used any templating, I highly recommend it. They make things a lot easier and quicker to build out and very reusable. So then if you have kind of a base JSON response or not very complex, or you don't want to do anything with the data, you can actually just plop that right into your handlebars template. But I wanted to do a little manipulation. I wanted to add some anchor tags in there. So then that's why I have this extra method here to build it out and just kind of reformat the JSON to how I want to do it. Because you can, in any templating, you can spit out actual HTML tags or you're just regular text. So then that would be the end of that. Let's see here. So let's jump on. So these were the resources that I used. You have the communities. These are, I'll give you the link to the actual URL, the bit.ly URL and everything. So you can get everything off of there. So don't worry. These are just, if you actually have the slides, you can download the slides as well. But the REST API and the chatter communities, the Force DK framework, and Handlebars JS and Bootstrap. So there's your, for the code, there's the URL. And then the slides, if you want the slides. Okay, thanks guys.